This talk is based on Matthew 15:28. Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done as you wish." And her daughter was healed. Block 151 of Roberts Barracks still stands today as part of the Ministry of Defence's Changi Air Base camp. In the chapel you will find 5 murals, each 3 meters in length, each one painted when this place was a prisoner of war camp, each one created out of hardship, sickness and faith, with limited materials and in conditions which we can only imagine. With their Christian message of love and forgiveness, they helped to uplift the spirits of the POWs who sought refuge within the chapel. After the end of the war, the chapel walls were whitewashed, and the murals were forgotten until their rediscovery in 1958. Their painter was also found, and he agreed, after much deliberation, to return to the place in order to restore his paintings. He said, "I was trying to forget. It took years to eliminate the memories and fears, the long drawn-out experience of each day, expecting death. I really tried hard to forget, but of course I was never able to do it." Between 1963 and 1988, Stanley Warren returned to Singapore to restore the murals he had started to paint in September 1942. Very ill and working with paint made from materials which his mates gathered for him at great personal risk, Stanley worked on them for 15 minutes at a time. By Christmas he had completed his first mural, which he entitled Nativity. Ascension, Crucifixion, Last Supper, and St. Luke in prison would follow. Stanley never put his name on any of his paintings, as he considered them as being a gift from God. These are paintings which were created in great adversity, out of and because of great faith, which gave many prisoners hope in times of darkness. So what is faith? Faith is a gift that we're all given, a gift that we can use and develop, or a gift that we can merely set aside. We have faith in ourselves, in our own ability, but we can also lose that faith and confidence. And if we do, we can find ourselves perhaps withdrawing or feeling depressed. We have faith in friends and in our families. Sometimes we can feel let down by both. We put our trust and our faith in institutions, the government, the law, the church, the police, the judiciary, politicians, teachers, doctors, ordinary workers and neighbours, all of whom at some time may test our faith in them. And so we can lose faith in these things permanently or just for a while. Faith in God is a gift that is freely given to us all. Some reject it, some do not recognize it, and some say that they've lost it, others that they don't need it, although this could mean that they don't need it at the moment, or it could be that they can't be bothered to think about it in the busy lives which they lead. However, I really do believe that there is not one person, past or present, who at some time has not or will not think about faith and belief in God at some point in their lives, either in the course of conversations with friends, as part of their work, study, in their daily lives, or privately in their thoughts and deliberations. Thoughts about the existence of God often come into focus at crucial points in people's lives, times of loss, hardship or despair. It is at these times that faith can really help us, because hope and God are bound together and cannot be separated. God and faith are always there if and when we need or we want it. St. Paul refers to faith as one of the fruits of the Spirit, and all plants need to be fed, watered and protected if they're to grow and bear fruit. So to feed our faith, we need to pray and trust in the love of our God, for it is through faith that we know that God will always be here with us. I truly believe that the people of the world need faith just as much as they ever have. Last year we commemorated the end of the First World War, the war to end all wars. In June, we remembered the end of the war in Europe, and this weekend we remember the 75th anniversary of VJ Day. These two wars caused the death of an estimated 72 million people, and between them was the Spanish flu epidemic, which killed an estimated 50 million. So what is the legacy of these two great wars and that epidemic? Crisis in the Middle East, war and suffering in many African countries, persecution in other countries, China, Russia, North Korea, and so many countries with their problems seeming almost waiting to erupt, hovering somewhere in the background. The world is potentially a far more dangerous place than it was when the lights were going out across Europe in August 1914, or when the troops of Hitler's Third Reich marched across the borders of Belgium in 1939. For we now really do possess weapons of mass destruction. I watch newsreel of ordinary people fleeing their homes. I see images of wanton destruction of land and towns, forests and seas, of communities and human life. My heart sinks and I ask, what do we have to do to fight these things? What have we got to prevail against them? I think the answer is through a belief in a God of love and compassion, a God who will at some time make all things new in a way that we might not necessarily expect. I believe this because of the faith that I have in my God. There it is again, that word faith, and it is faith which is what today's gospel reading is all about. A woman comes to Jesus in this story, and she's desperate. She's an outsider because she's both a Gentile and a woman. And at first Jesus does not seem ready to help her. After all, it is at the very beginning of his ministry, and perhaps he's still a little uncertain of just exactly where God is leading him. However, this woman will not give up. This woman believes in him. This woman has faith in him. And it is her simple, unflinching faith which compels Jesus to help her and to cure her child. I love the sentence we often use in our normal service. Great is the mystery of faith. Now is the time when we need to acknowledge the mystery which is faith, to hold faith in our hands and in our hearts, and to have faith that our world will, in time, become a world of peace and love. Is that naive? Perhaps, but we can never be sure of what is to come. Stanley Warren's paintings were born out of his faith in a time when you would think that his faith would have been broken beyond all repair. The woman who came to Jesus had faith, and because of that faith, she came to see and feel for herself God's presence in her life. This is what faith can do. Faith has the power to change all things. Faith is simply faith. Faith is a gift that we just have to accept and to trust in. Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done as you wish." And her daughter was healed.